Ew.
No. No.
That's what I want to do anytime you talk. Hey, welcome back to our Stupid Rex. I'm Corbin. You can follow us on Instagram, Twitter for more juicy content. Thank you to everybody who supports us on Patreon.
Yeah, that particular mouth sound triggered my...
Follow us on our official Twitter account. Subscribe and hit that Rajamouli button. It's the Rajamouli button. It's tasty.
Ew.
What? What's who?
What you just said.
Nah. No, it's good. Welcome back. Today we got a little mini documentary. It's called The Colors of Kollywood.
Interesting. A melanin deficiency.
And it's about... they'll probably explain it a little better than I can. Read this.
Favoritism towards lighter skin tones is embedded in the Indian psyche, and Tamil cinema is no exception. Through conversations with industry professionals, artistes, it says artistes, social activists, and the common people, this documentary examines the history and practice of different treatment based on skin color, especially regarding actresses in Tamil cinema. Colors of Kollywood, a melanin deficiency, was made by students of Tamil Nadu Government, MGR Film and Television Institute, as part of their 5th semester project.
So,
all right.
Colorism, I guess, in the industry. Also, I need to make sure. Oh, okay. Never mind. I can't download it. I have to record the screen.
Yeah.
Because of subtitles. Oh, my God. I'm sure this won't piss me off at all. Do you ever look at your wife and be like, I wish you were lighter?
Never. And no other human on the face of the earth have ever had that thought.
Damn. Well.
No. And thankfully, neither has she looked in the mirror and ever had that thought.
Are you lighter?
Yeah, she has never looked at herself and thought.
Oh, I thought you were talking about you.
No. I could be lighter. I mean, look at you. I think you.
My wife looks at me
close.
My wife looks at me all the time. Yeah. I wish you were lighter. Like translucent. I wish you were translucent. Here we go. Oh, Paranjeet. Whoa.
Kollywood, the idolism, the fandom, the reach, the commercialism, the power. Kollywood is the pride of every Tamilian. Cinema is a potent force in shaping societal attitudes.
We are a culture, we love our movies.
It is inevitably embedded in our daily lives.
That is how we worship icons.
But are we really proud to represent ourselves to the world through our cinema? We are a state of a myriad different people and as many skin tones. Why does our cinema industry only represent a monotone of our skin tones, especially when it comes to one particular gender? In the Tamil industry, one of the most prevalent, yet ironically the least observed problematic trend is colorism.
ஏமாப்ல ஒரு போட்டோ கூட என்னை விட்டு எடுக்க மாட்டேங்கிறியா மாப்ள?
இல்லடா நீ என் பக்கத்துல நின்னா நான் கொஞ்சம் பிரைட்டா தெரியுவேன்ல.
இது அங்கவை, இது சங்கவை.
ரொம்ப பொங்க வச்சிட்டீங்க போல இருக்கு.
அடி வெள்ளக்கார வேலாயி,
அடி வெள்ளாவி வச்சு தவளத்தாய்களா, உன்ன நேருக்கு காட்டாம வளர்த்தாய்களா.
பால் போலே 16
What I would say racism, you call it colorism, but for me it is racism.
And it's interlaced with all sorts of other types of discrimination, like caste-based discrimination and so much more.
I always thought, Shalini mari irukano, Ajit mari irukano, Vijay mari irukano, Trisha mari irukano, Nayanthara mari irukano. This is what I always kept in my mind. So when I did not look like them, when my hair did not look like that, when my face did not look like that, when my color did not look like that, I always thought, okay, I am a freak, I am not supposed to look like this.
டார்க் ஸ்கின்டு பீப்புள்னால் வந்துட்டு அவங்க தே ஆர் நாட் பியூட்டிஃபுல் ஆர் தே ஆர் நாட் ப்ளசன்ட் அப்படிங்கிறதும், ஃபேராக இருக்கிறவங்க தான் வந்துட்டு ஒரு அழகுக்கு வந்துட்டு அழகுக்கு அறிகுறியாக இருக்கிறது வந்துட்டு ஒருத்தர் வந்து ஃபேராக இருக்கிறது தான் அப்படிங்கிற மாதிரி ஒரு தாட் வந்துட்டு நிறைய பேருக்கு இருக்குது.
எப்படின்னா கருப்பாக இருந்தால் அக்லின்ற ஒரு கைண்ட் ஆஃப் இதுக்கு ஜஸ்ட் அ டாமினேஷன் ஆஃப் மெலனின், தட்ஸ் இட்.
DISB is dark is beautiful. The Dark is Beautiful campaign is one of our signature campaign. This addresses the toxic belief that a person's worth is measured by the color of their skin.
ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள் காடஸ் லக்ஷ்மி. ஸோ நான் எங்கள் வீட்டில் வந்து இப்போ யாராவது எதனா சொல்கிறாங்கன்னா, அப்பா அந்த பொண்ணு மகாலட்சுமி மாதிரி இருக்காப்பா அப்படின்னா, லைக் every female, they can only relate to a Mahalakshmi and they can only relate it to a fair skin.
We are taking really long to accept that we are the dark brown people, and our industry at least should not be doing this weird thing called discrimination based on skin tone, because 70% of my country looks like me.
I know the color of the elephant. It is black. But when I have to see Ganesha, I don't want to see him black. I want to see him pink.
Pink and white, yeah.
Now imagine a pink elephant. இந்த ஐகான் வந்து நமக்குள்ள மனசுல ஊறிடுது. இப்படிதான் கணேச விநாயகர் இருப்பார்.
ஒரு அழகா இருக்குன்னா அப்படியே அழகா இருக்குன்னு சொல்ல மாட்டாங்க. ஒரு வெள்ளையா இருக்கு ஒரு பெண்ணு ஒரு கலையா இருக்காங்க அப்படின்னா, ஃபீச்சர்ஸ்லாம் அழகா இருக்கு அப்படின்னா லக்ஷ்மிகரமா இருக்காங்க அப்படின்னு சொல்லுவாங்க. ஸோ அதே வந்து ஒரு கருத்த பெண் அழகா இருந்தாலும் வந்து ஒரு காளியோட வடுமையும் ஒரு மாதிரி அது மாதிரி ஒரு ஏரியாக்குள்ள தான் போறாங்க.
I think colorism has numerous definitions, but to me it is the prejudice against those with darker skin tones or melanin-rich skin. Colorism is ubiquitous and it occurs a lot of the time within the same ethnic group.
டஸ்கியாக இருந்தாங்கன்னா நம்ம சொசைட்டி வந்துட்டு அவ்வளோ சீக்கிரம் அவங்கள அக்செப்ட் பண்ணாது.
எத்தனை பேர் இன்னும் இன்ஃபீரியாரிட்டி காம்ப்ளெக்ஸோட இருக்காங்க, எத்தனை பேர் இன்னும் நான் கருப்பாக இருக்கேன்னு சொல்லி அடறாங்க, கருப்பாக இருக்கேன்னு கிண்டல் பண்ணுறாங்க.
Sometimes even suicidal, depressed because they were told they were not good enough.
ஸோ ஒரு பொண்ணு வந்துட்டு ஃபேராக இருந்தால் தான் அழகு அப்படிங்கிற மாதிரி ஒரு மைண்ட் செட் வந்துட்டு இருக்குது. They all have like some kind of comparison.
Skin color and the shade of color that we have, it's often associated with wealth, education, beauty, desirability.
எத்தனையோ பேர் இருக்கு கருப்பாக இருக்கிறவங்களுக்கு, கருவாயான் இருக்கு,
கருப்பி அப்படின்னு சொல்லுவாங்க. Even when I was in first grade, second grade, I've been hearing the same stuff till I was like in 12th grade. Blackie.
We started believing that people who have dark skin must be villains, must be bad guys. You know?
Let us see how colorism must have seeped into our cinema.
It could be of many reasons. One is that we have a colonial history, which had fair-skinned people ruling the country for almost 400 years.
Maybe the colonial rule is what, brought it. Possibly the, colonial rule had a lot to contribute in terms of bringing and reinforcing the issue.
So the language of cinema, let us say that it grows up in the West. The primary actors and characters there who were acting in this film, they were largely white people. And these are the kind of people who taught us cinema. And therefore we felt that as part of the language of cinema, we need to have people with brighter skin tones in order to tell a proper story.
I always tell people we've moved on, but we still hold on to the colonial mindset.
தமிழ்நாடு வந்து பார்த்தீங்கன்னா it is a very hot state actually.
பேக்ரவுண்டே பார்த்தீங்கன்னா நம்மளோட ஜென்ரேஷன்ஸ்லேருந்தே வந்துட்டு அந்த டஸ்கியாக இருக்கிறதுங்கிறது has been a part.
Also, the fact that media keeps reinforcing this colonial mindset makes me often call them as the newer colonialists, the colonialists of today.
We have to blame our attitude. We have to blame our mentality.
We are a land of so many different shades of skin and different types of features, and and we are supposed to celebrate that.
But the black and white film did not allow that to film black skin on the screen. So all they were looking for fair, white-skinned actors because of the panchromatic film. Audiences rather preferring the white-skinned people on the screen as a nature of marking the heroic position, the iconic position. And then comes color.
I think about the black and white aspect of the beginning of the cinema part, yeah.
Now, color is a little better than black and white when it responds to the black skin tone. And once that happened, there's a revolution, because that's precisely the time when Rajinikanth is coming. The fact that he was very dark did not matter, because color cinema tolerated black skin.
It will be hard to light the contrast situation. For example, the fair and dark next to each other, it will be like challenging. I don't think the fair alone it's easy, dark alone is also it's easy. It's just when it is in the combination, now we have a lot of tools to light.
Since then, we have seen a number of dark-skinned actors dominating our screens. But there is a catch.
ஆண்களுக்கு சட்டத்திட்டங்கள் வேற, பெண்களுக்கு சட்டத்திட்டங்கள் வேற.
தமிழ்லேருந்து ஹீரோயின்ஸை பிக் பண்ணிங்கன்னா எனக்கு இப்போ வரைக்கும் ஞாபகமே வரல யாரும்.
டஸ்கியாக இருக்கிற ஒரு ஹீரோயின் வந்துட்டு எத்தனை பேரை நம்மளால் இப்போ ரீசெண்ட் டைம்ஸில் பார்க்க முடியுது. விரல் விட்டு எண்ணிடலாம். மேபி லைக் ஐஸ்வர்யா ராஜேஷ் மாதிரி ஒரு ஹீரோயின் பார்க்கலாம். பட் நீங்கள் என்னென்னா ஆரம்ப காலகட்டத்தில் when they were acting, okay, she was dusky and people accepted. But ஒரு 3-4 படத்துக்கு அப்புறம் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா she started becoming more fair. From black and white to color, I think the attitude of the people never changed. When it comes to heroine, okay, டஸ்கியாக இருந்தாங்கன்னா நம்ம சொசைட்டி வந்துட்டு அவ்வளோ சீக்கிரம் அவங்கள accept பண்ணாது.
South Indian film industry is one of the most organized film industry, I would say, but I was actually shocked. Their heroes would be dark, but their heroines would be so fair and so North Indian. So a lot of people told me, why don't you try your luck in the South? And I said, but South only takes fair women.
Even though our screens now only show us fair-skinned women, the trend was very different in the past.
Radhika of the 70s and the 80s.
K.R. Vijaya madam இருந்தாங்க. Sarita was ruling in 1980s. She's not very fair. She's dusky.
The actresses of the 70s and the 80s in both Hindi and Tamil cinema demanded certain roles. They worked only if there was something important to their character. You see, they were not there on the screen simply to dance and be seductive to the male in the film.
They proved they are very good actors. டஸ்கியாக இருந்தவங்க எத்தனையோ பேர் இருக்காங்க. இதை கரெக்டாக புரிஞ்சுக்கிட்டு இதை அப்ளை பண்ணது யாருன்னா பாலு மகேந்திரா சார்.
நோ மேக்கப், அப்சல்யூட்லி நத்திங். நம்முடைய திராவிட இந்த நிறம் அது திரையில் அற்புதமாக வரும்.
பாலு மகேந்திரா சார் வந்துட்டு அர்ச்சனா அப்படிங்கிற ஒரு ஆக்ட்ரஸை வந்துட்டு இன்ட்ரடியூஸ் பண்ணியிருந்தார். திஸ் இஸ் வாட் தங்கர் பச்சான் டிட் வித் அழகி, பிரிங்கிங் நந்திதா தாஸ் இன்சைட் த ஃபிலிம். ஸோ நந்திதா தாஸை அழகின்னு படம் போட்டுட்டு நிறைய பேர் கேட்டாங்க, என்ன அழகி சொல்கிறீங்க, பொண்ணு ரொம்ப டார்க்காக இருக்காளுன்னு. நான் கேட்டாங்க ஒரு டைமில், தமிழ் சினிமாவில் கேட்டிருக்காங்க. ஆனால் அவர் சொன்னார், அழகா அது அழகா அவள் கருப்பாக இருக்கிறனா தான் அழகாக இருக்கா.
Now what happens is that changes by the new millennium. It changes where the woman is seen simply as an object. So you really know that this is all their directors want. They don't want to make films with women as being important. அப்போ அந்த பெண்களுக்கு வந்து இவ்வளோ கம்மியான டைம் கொடுக்க போகிறோம், 20 நிமிஷம் கொடுக்க போகிறோம். அந்த 20 நிமிஷத்தில் வந்து நல்லா கிளிகிளிப்பாக இருக்கணும்னு இருக்கேன்.
Hey, it's me, your dry skin.
Sorry, guys,
I'm craving something we're missing. The ceramides and CeraVe.
Media is supposed to represent what is real, but also what is aspirational. But what has happened is when representation goes off, you are presenting only a certain type of looks on the screen.
Whenever I go and approach any model, there are like two major things which they say. ஒன்று வந்து என்னை கொஞ்சம் வெள்ளையாக காமிங்க, ஃபேராக காமிங்க அப்படின்ட்டு. இன்னொன்று வந்து என்னை கொஞ்சம் ஒல்லியாக காமிங்க.
We're at a stage where we can no longer call colorism a superficial issue because it is affecting the self-esteem and self-image and mental health of countless number of individuals.
Colorism has such a deep impact on the emotional well-being of a person, someone's self-esteem, the way, as I was mentioning earlier, the way that they perceive others, the way that they treat others, the way that they perceive themselves and treat themselves.
I've had parents say how their child, young daughter, after watching a commercial, whitening commercial, goes and keeps washing her face with soap, believing, that what the ad is showing is true and she can actually become lighter.
This isn't true at all. Desirability and skin color do not interlock.
It's a very sensitive issue. Very often the discrimination starts from the time a child is born.
Usually perpetuated by the family and friends.
There was a guy who set his wife on fire in India because she had another
Media
girl.
is a tool, right? Media is a powerful tool. Media can either be a change agent or it could be an agent that reinforces these biases. So if media wants to turn it around, they can, because the impact of media is so huge.
There was this time when I was told, you don't look like a heroine. And it hit me very hard. Yes, I would be sad on days when I would not crack an audition because I'm dark skinned.
Tamil cinema பார்க்கும்போது okay, நம்மள மாதிரி யாராவது பார்க்கலாம், இல்ல எங்க அம்மா மாதிரி யாராவது பார்க்கலாம், என் தம்பி மாதிரி யாராவது பார்க்கலாம். But I will watch a Tamil cinema and the girl playing a Tamil girl will be an actual white Caucasian girl with brown foundation when they're actually just white. It is a white person doing brown face.
Brown face means that even when we could give opportunities to dark-skinned actors for a role, we prefer to take light-skinned actors and put on dark makeup for them.
இப்போ வந்து ரொம்ப ரூரலாக இருக்கக்கூடிய ஒரு கேரக்டர் இருக்குன்னா நீங்கள் ஃபேர் ஸ்கின் கேர்ளை உள்ளே கொண்டு வந்துட்டு டேன் பண்ணாதீங்கன்னு சொல்ல வரேன்.
We've seen many examples like this, such as Amy Jackson, who came into this film industry around 10 years ago or so. She did this movie called Madrasi Pattanam, where she did play a British girl. But after that, South Indian filmmakers just went, ooh, we like her. Let's put her in some makeup and jewelry and tell everyone that she is Tamil. But she's not Tamil.
Is she not?
நம்ம இந்த லெவலில் இருக்கும் பொழுது, லைக் நம்மளோட மீடியா, நம்மளோட சினிமா இந்த லெவலில் இருக்கும் பொழுது, வெஸ்டர்ன் கல்ச்சர் இஸ் ரியலி டேக்கிங் இட் ஃபார்வர்ட்.
Like Charitra Chandran, like Maitreyi Ramakrishnan, like Simone Ashley being at the forefront. I think if I saw that representation growing up, I wouldn't have wanted to look so much like other people in terms of skin tone.
Bridgerton is an example of dark-skinned Tamil origin actresses being cast as leads in Hollywood.
And one of the lead actresses, Charitra Chandran, said when she was asked about, being in South Asian film industry, she said, I suspect I'm too dark and don't have enough connections to be offered anything in India's film industry.
So I can pretty much say that there's a huge difference how people treat me as an actress in an international production floor and in India. It's a very big difference. I don't feel the weight of my skin tone when I work internationally at all. But in India, it's not like that. It's like, I'm very disheartened. I wish things were different here. I wish things would change.
In a way, Hollywood is above Tamil cinema when it comes to representing people with different color skin tones.
When I come to representation, movies la eppadi irukona, this is Marina Beach, enna sutti paarenga, ivanga ellarum da movies la irukanum. But this is not what I'm seeing in Tamil Nadu movies.
The casting director told me, you know what, we've tested you for this role, but this role is something that we're looking for a fair skin actress. Obviously, you understand it's an upper class story, and it is not fitting your look, particularly your skin tone.
We were talking about Ponniyin Selvan because Ponniyin Selvan is about the Chola dynasty, the Pandya dynasty also come in there. The actress, we have Trisha, we have Aishwarya Rai, very beautiful looking people. Now, I've been seeing all the Sun music songs and all. Every time I look at them, I'm like, wow, they're so beautiful. I am conditioned and I'm brought up looking at them and admiring them. But at one point when I was seeing this movie, I questioned like, why are they here? This is not how the Chola people look. This is not how the Pandya people look. They look like me. But where are people like me in the film?
There are so many other films that have also promoted colorism in the past. A massive one that comes to mind is Shivaji with Rajinikanth. There's a whole very infamous sequence and Rajini tries to become fairer so that Shreya will fall in love with him because she asks him to be more fairer and more handsome.
In the West, they spend so much money to just tan themselves and look like us, and look warm like us.
I like the concept where we say Tamil Nadu vandare vaazha vekkum Tamil Nadu. Ama nama varavanga ellariyum vaazha vekkurom. Ana vaazhravanga inga irukravanga what we are doing for the people who are born here and brought up here. All Tamil Nadu industry is surrounded by people who came out from Kerala, Andhra Pradesh, also the Bollywood people. I mean, I don't have anything against them, but where is the Tamil Nadu people in the Tamil Nadu cinema?
So you see, iconography in popular culture do not reflect the reality of the people.
So beauty அப்படினாலே வந்து அந்த ஃபேர் அந்த வேர்ட் கூட வந்து they are started attaching it.
It's been 20 years since the world watched two icons take on all the...
So we started seeing Ravi Verma's painting. And after a point we recognized or realized that he has used only fair skin. And his whole, like each and every painting or whatever it is, he has done the work, the art, it's all in terms of fair skin. நம்ம எல்லாருமே வந்து brown தான், but there is no god or goddesses, even though their origin may be black or blue or brown, but the way we see them in every photos or calendars or whatever it is, it's fair.
Mr. Naresh Nil has reimagined Hindu gods and goddesses as dark-skinned in his photography series called Dark is Divine.
That's gorgeous.
Because as I said earlier, it is very important for my people or my colleagues or my family or my friends, whoever it is, in that skin tone, even they have to start feeling proud or take pride in their own skin. That was the main reason. It was a very beautiful idea. After we thought that it's a very beautiful idea, so we wanted to execute the idea and see the result.
So self-portraits for me, it is like coming out of this இந்த ஒரு பாண்ட் இருக்குல்ல, இந்த ஒரு பெரிய ஒரு இந்த வலிகளாக இருக்கட்டும், கேள்விகளாக இருக்கட்டும், இதுலேருந்து வெளியில் வரதுக்கான ஒரு சிம்பிளான ஒரு வேவாக இருந்தது எனக்கு. ஸோ ஒரு தாமரை அழகாக இருக்குது அப்படின்னா அந்த தாமரை அழகான விஷயத்தில் ஏன் நான் இல்லைன்னு சொல்லும் போது ஒரு டார்க் ஸ்கின் விமன் இருக்க மாட்டேன்றாங்கிறதால ஐ ட்ரைட் கீப்பிங் அ டார்க் ஸ்கின் விமன் தேர். ஸோ சின்ஸ் ஐ எம் ரியலி கம்ஃபர்டபுள் மாடல் ஃபார் மை செல்ஃப் அப்படின்றதால இட் கம்ஸ் அவுட் ஆஃப் அஸ் அ செல்ஃப் போர்ட்ரேட்ன்ற மாதிரி. தாமரையில் ஒரு கருப்பாக ஒரு பெண்ணு உட்காந்துருக்கான்னு சொல்லும் போது இன்னொரு கருப்பான ஒரு பெண்ணுக்கு புரியும் என்னாலையும் தாமரையில் உட்கார முடியும் அப்படின்னு, என்னையும் இவ்வளோ அழகாக நான் பார்த்து காமிச்சிக்க முடியும் அப்படின்றது.
Mrs. Rohini Mani's self-portraits delve into psychological perceptions of colorism.
Several dark-skinned people, because of what they were exposed to, they don't allow themselves the permission to be the best that they can be. They tell themselves, I can't wear these colors. Oh, I'm not good enough. I can never be an actor. So you kind of deny yourself that opportunity in the first place.
This is a Rajinikanth film, or this is a Kamal Hassan film, or this is a Vijay film. More often than not, these superstars decide the rest of the cast. The producers simply have no speech in it. The director has very little choice in this.
இப்போ ஒரு ஆட்டிடியூட் ஒரு ஃபிலிம் மேக்கருக்கு இருக்குது. ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள் லைக் நான் இப்படி தான் பிலீவ் பண்ணுறேன், ஃபேராக இருக்கிற ஹீரோயின் தான் எனக்கு ரொம்ப அழகாக இருக்குதுன்னு நான் நினைக்கிறேன்னா நான் என் படத்தில் அப்படி தான் பண்ணுவேன்.
Yeah, I mean, India has to change this outlook about dark-skinned women in industry particularly. Imagine 70% of this country looks dark. And you don't portray those humans on your cinema. Who are you making these cinema for?
The refusal of filmmakers to tell stories of women in this country is really pathetic.
Directors have to bring that. They have to motivate, they have to encourage the actors, they have to change the mindset of the people. So that is the role of director, I personally believe here.
And if audiences, if the producers think that it's only male-dominated films that are going to make money, they will make male-dominated films. It is left to the audience to say, come on, this is not correct.
I think it's about time that in Tamil cinema we start enforcing and encouraging more studios, more production houses to cast people who are darker skinned because they are beautiful too. Skin color does not determine your worth, your beauty, your education level, your status, your socio-economic status. It does not.
ஒருத்தர் டார்க்காக இருக்காரு இல்லை ஒருத்தர் ஃபேராக இருக்கு end of the day what matters, that is a human being and that's a fellow human being also has a lot of emotions.
Then who is supposed to do all this? These directors, these actors, they have to give opportunities to others. அப்போ தான் எல்லாராலையும் புரிஞ்சுக்க முடியும். ஒரு 5 வயசு 6 வயசு பொண்ணு வந்து ஸ்ட்ரெயிட்டாக பார்த்தோன்னா ஐஸ்வர்யா ராய் மாதிரி இருக்கணும்னு அவள் நினச்சானா what is she thinking first? The color, the hair. அதுதான் வந்து அவங்க நினைக்கிறாங்க. ஸோ வந்து என்ன மாதிரியோ நார்மலாக இருக்கிற ஒரு ஆளை ரெப்ரசென்ட் பண்ணுற மூலமாக தான் the students, the children who grow up, they learn, okay, I am normal, I belong here.
It's very important, and at least in future generation, I guess it will be changed. I guess the true dark-skinned people will be acted as a princess in Tamil cinema, in Indian cinema. I'm just hoping for that day to come.
It'll take a while. It'll take a while for Ganesha to become black.
Well done.
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting facts in there because obviously we've seen other stuff about colorism before, in whether it's short videos or just interviews of people talking. We've seen other things about this issue before. It's brought up some new things that I really hadn't thought about, of what, like, obviously, especially this one focused on little girls and like what they see on cinema, or just in everyday life, obviously. So they see a darker skinned male on screen, but then the whitest of white heroine. And I think this is mainly talking about commercial cinema. We've seen a lot of non-commercial that I think does a lot, probably more better job at accurately representing the group of people.
Yeah.
The Tamil specifically, actually, I think does that a lot. But I think this one's specifically talking about the commercial, the big blockbuster masala films, I think is what it's more talking about. But I hadn't really thought about the beginning of the cinema, one seeing the Hollywood films, obviously all of them being white, but then also how the dark skin showed up on black and white film back in the day. I'm saying that's an interesting aspect to think of.
It's an interesting aspect.
And then also, obviously, what it was talking about in terms of a lot of the gods being heavily either whitewashed, pink, or whatever, as opposed to being the darker colors. I don't know where all those origins are from. That's not for me to say, but that was just an interesting aspect that I'd never thought about before. And a lot of little girls being depicted as Sita or and like, oh, you look like this goddess.
Yeah.
Stuff I hadn't thought of.
Yeah. I can see how in India, when they saw Hollywood's black and white films, they took note of the fact that there weren't a lot of black people. And they made the assumption that was because black doesn't show up as well in a black and white film. That wasn't why black people weren't in black and white films back in the day. They weren't in black and white films because we are a racist nation back then that didn't put people of color in any position.
Not until just recently.
Yeah. So we didn't...
Or they were putting stereotypical roles.
We didn't put black people in film back then for that reason.
Yeah.
I remember... the first year of the channel back in 2019, we watched a video similar to this, and I put a post on my Instagram with a bunch of beautiful, dark-skinned Indian women and Billy Joel's song, Don't Go Changing, and got a lot of messages from beautiful stupid babies who've had issues. And I talked to Indrani about people she knows that have issues. That was 6 years ago.
Yeah.
And the people that need to make the change in cinema are the people with the power.
Yeah.
And until the people with the power make the change, it ain't going to happen.
Yeah. Because it's only just recently that all this representation for Hollywood has come into effect. It's not, honestly, since after the 2000s.
I was going to
sure.
say, it really started to happen in the early 2000s.
Obviously, it happened before that. Like the first interracial
Slowly.
kiss ever was in Star Trek between, who are those people?
Captain Kirk and Uhura. Or
Uhura.
Yeah,
that's right. First interracial kiss. And there's stuff like that. But in terms of all the representation that we see now,
there were these markers of breakthrough.
Yeah.
The acceptance of, say, black artists in music and then black artists. But the real world of representation being across the board.
Really recent.
Yeah, and having it and actually beginning to see it.
Yeah.
I don't think we actually started to see it until about 10 years ago.
Yeah. And so it's obviously different. Like when we see a film, the first thing I don't notice is the heroine is extremely light.
It doesn't even...
Because it doesn't usually compute to me, because that's not how... Obviously, I could see to Indians and to little girls specifically.
Yeah, like when we were watching PS1 and 2, I feel kind of bad that it didn't dawn on me.
Yeah. It's like,
because
this
it's
is a
true.
Tamil,
This is a Tamil film. Why do we have such fair-skinned women in these positions? It's the exact same response they have the same response we have when we watch any depiction of Jesus and it's a Brit. You're like, dude, he was Middle Eastern.
Yeah.
Right.
And then also the same, even though we talk about little girls in this, you see like little kid named Nawaz, grows up and he sees all the dark people are the bad people. And so I guess that's all I can be.
Yeah.
Even though, he's brilliant at being bad, and I love that. But that part of it as well, they grew up, only the dark people are.
And I don't
this is not just Tamil. Obviously, I think everybody should know that. This is not just a Tamil cinema issue. This is an all Indian cinema issue. This is a world cinema issue of different kind of racism / colorism. Obviously, Hollywood has a long history of it.
And sexism.
And all this kind of stuff of different representations, just obviously, and just until recently, even though some people just like to call it woke, of like how many Disney princesses weren't extremely white for so long. Now you have people like, Moana, you have people of different ethnicities.
Jasmine.
Yeah, Jasmine. Well, even then, those were extremely white for where they were being played.
True.
And the actors playing their voices were also white. And so, like, there's all these different little things that you don't think of. It's not, I don't think when they made it, they were doing it maliciously, but these little subtle things that, people, when they grow up, cinema is important. I'm not one that usually blames cinema for the actions of people. That's not usually what I do. But obviously, they can enter the psyche of people. It's an important medium.
Yeah, it has a extraordinarily powerful impact in the psyche of people, especially young people,
and especially in an industry like Tamil or others that it's such a big part of the culture.
And I'll just never comprehend anybody not seeing the beauty in all kinds of human beings. Obviously, there's some people who have preferences. There's some people, for example, there's people who like brunettes. There's people who like blondes. There's people who prefer someone who has freckles. There's someone who prefers someone who's very dark skinned. Someone likes a curvy body. Someone likes a thin body. But those are the personal preferences of attraction.
Yeah.
But I don't understand why everybody can't have an appreciation for the most beautiful, starkly white skin, the most starkly dark skin.
Lupita.
These people who have vitiligo and have multi-patterns all over their skin. And it makes me so sad to think of people, especially young girls, who are not just by the film industry, but by their own families. Treated with shame.
It's usually
being told, why weren't you born lighter?
Yeah. It's usually it's obviously society perpetuates stuff, but a lot of times it's their direct family, even though they're probably doing it, hopefully, usually out of like love, because they're like, I want you to have the best life. It's still awful and hurtful to want somebody to be in a different, like, it's the same thing like when little girls here, like in America, let's say, grow up with certain beauty standards, but they're often perpetuated by their mother.
Right.
Not knowingly.
Right.
But like that's how the mother grew up, and that's what they heard. So they're, even though they don't want to harm their child or their psyche in any way, the stuff that they're saying to them because they think this will help them in the future.
Right.
Like it's detrimental. And so my generation were very big, especially the parents of my generation, of breaking generational traumas and stuff like that. And obviously our kids are going to have their own traumas that we wouldn't have been able to do. But it's when you have to sit down and think about all these things that like you just grew up with and you didn't think about, but as an adult, you're like, that's terrible.
That's terrible. Right.
That's terrible. Every society has them, obviously.
Yeah, always has.
But this is one of those things that it's...
And it goes even farther back. The whole dark light is not just an Indian thing. It's a global thing. And if you even go back, for example, to Song of Solomon, which we're talking BC.
Yeah.
The concept of beauty with dark and light had to do with the fact that if you had dark skin, it meant you did menial labor and you were out in the sun versus you had the austerity and the wealth and the opulence if you were fair-skinned, irrespective if you looked like me or you were whatever. Lighter skin meant you got to be in the shade, and if you were in the shade, you were of a higher social stature. So it's been going on forever, and is it ever going to stop?
Probably not.
Probably not. But it can stop in sectors and grow out. Case in point, Hollywood.
Yeah.
Representation in Hollywood is the best it's ever been. It needs to get even better. But it is the best. It is a whole new... I remember when I went to see Black Panther. I get emotional talking about it because I took it for granted being a white guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember walking out of Black Panther and seeing this black family, a husband and a wife and their little boy, who was probably 8 or 9 years old, looking at the big poster of Black Panther. And I said to Alexis and Ashley and Micah, I said, we can't miss this. We take it for granted. Every superhero I saw growing up, every hero I had, Superman, Rocky, Han Solo, Luke Skywalker, all of them were freaking white.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the first time, not just this kid, but his parents have seen a black superhero portrayed in a huge format in cinema. Why did it take so long? And why was I so blind to that? Why didn't I step back and go, why is it all just white people? I was so conditioned to it that I didn't even see it.
Yeah, it's just one of those things.
Yeah.
Like I said, this is just focusing on the Tamil industry. It's every industry.
Everywhere.
It's every part of the globe.
Yeah.
We all unfortunately have these issues that we need to speak about and talk about. And because I think a lot of people, especially older people, that haven't sat down and really thought about it. Because that's just like, no, this is how we've always been.
Yeah, I bet there's a ton who've even watching this thought, wow, all of the iconic images we have of the gods and goddesses are lightened.
Yeah, and I would love to know the history of all that as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
Were they always depicted in terms of the pink? I don't know the history of it.
Me neither.
Or were they originally depicted as darker?
That's another great story.
Yeah, that'd be an interesting thing to learn about.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. Obviously, they said it here, and I was like, oh, I'd never thought I would love to see that full photo session of recreating the gods as people that looked like people, at least from the Tamil Nadu sector.
Yeah.
I don't know, because obviously I'm not familiar with Hinduism or the histories of it, the
Right.
histories of the
Me too.
pictures of it all.
Right.
I don't know. So it's just that's a very interesting aspect, because obviously Hinduism being such a big part of Indian culture.
But it is the people in power that can make and ought to make that change and have. That's one of the responsibilities of that kind of a power, is that you can lift people up and you can make those kinds of changes by, just as much as a superstar, as say a Rajinikanth, can tell people who they want in their movies. Well, use that power to put the people in there that can be representative and watch the change that can. And I'm not just singling him out. I used his name because is there anybody more powerful?
Yeah.
No, there isn't. He's one of the many who have the capacity to bring about this kind of change.
I know we haven't seen the movie, but like the Rajnikant movie, that has Radhika Apte as his.
Yeah.
And she, at least, I mean.
Yeah, and again, it's not just
I don't know which one
Tamil
is
cinema.
Dusky.
This happened to be Tamil cinema, but it's all cinema.
I've been told Radhika is dusky.
Right, yeah, she is. She is. Whatever that
until I
means to
started
you.
Indian cinema, that word was not my vocabulary.
I was told by Indrani that because she's Bengali, Rani Mukherjee was considered dusky.
Really?
Yeah.
Are Bengalis lighter usually?
No, Bengalis are dusky.
Darker.
Comparatively.
Usually.
Yeah, Bengalis are typically dusky.
Northern, more than north.
Well, when you go up into Assam,
Assam,
they lighten. Yeah.
Okay.
But a lot of Bengalis are considered dusky, not nearly the kind of darkness that you get in the South. Yeah, the South is always predominantly the darker, which, by the way, my own personal, I find some of the most beautiful human beings on earth have some of the darkest skin.
Yeah, and God, it's so difficult because when I watch a movie, I'm not looking at the skin tone. It's like not something I usually ever, unless somebody's like extremely dark.
Unless I know the region really, really well.
Yeah, I don't.
So you would know if we're watching Braveheart, and there's a guy in there from Mexico.
Yeah. That'd be weird.
Or looks Mexican.
Yeah,
you're gonna go, how the hell did he get here? Right?
But I wonder because I'm just trying to think of all the female heroes in Malayali industry. They often, to me, they seem darker. At least from what
I just don't.
But I don't
think about it.
Yeah, I don't think about it enough.
And probably should.
But also, we watch a lot of more artistic films, and those people are usually better because it's not commercial cinema.
Yeah.
Even though we do watch commercial cinema, but we watch a lot of artistic films, and so I feel like a lot of those times the representation is usually a little better, but also it's not seen by as many people.
The only what we notice is when there's a lot of white people that we feel like they shouldn't be in the scene.
Yeah.
It's like, why are there so many white people?
Get them away from me.
Yeah.
Anyways, fantastic documentary. Really,
very
really enjoyed
educational.
It. Let us know if there's other documentaries like this or others that we can watch, and let us know your thoughts on this. Obviously, your thoughts are probably a lot more educated than ours, and growing up in the certain cultures. And
what changes do you think could be made?
Because we're just two dumb white guys, giving our dumb opinions. Usually uneducated ones. So it's just you're the one that would be able to educate us a lot more on a lot of these points in this. So fantastic documentary though by everybody here.
They did a great job.
Made it. So anyways, let us know your thoughts and anything else we need to know down below.
Juice!